Arik Barbing, thanks for joining me today. In recent weeks, we have seen a substantial Iranian attack on Israeli targets and an alleged Israeli attack on Iranian assets. Could this be war?
First, I'd like to point out that all the information out there today comes from media reports, and there's no official information from either side. Having said that, I think what we do have here is a recognition that there is an actual cyber battlefield that can be used to attack and to cause actual damage to your opponent. It's clear that whoever is behind the attack on the Iranian port has the capabilities available only to nation-states. It was a very detailed and complicated attack, unlike the one we just saw a few days later on the leading Israeli websites. It's a completely different thing.
Could you please explain why?
Because to attack an OT system, a system in which the computers are connected to physical infrastructure such as water pumps or electric switchboards, you need very precise intel. Technological intel, sometimes human intel. You need to know your area like any other operation. Second, you need tools, in this case, cyber-attack tools. You need to be able to enter the system and to stay there over a period of time until the operators decide it's time to act. Whether to shut a system down or change its functions.
So we are talking about a Trojan horse that lurks around in their system, and when the moment comes, it is being sent to action and cases damage.
Yes, it's pretty accurate. It's similar to rockets on the ground in Gaza, or the Golan Heights ready for launch, waiting for an order. But in the cyber world, it's very difficult to identify who attacked you. That's the cyber sphere. Secrecy, ambiguity, and surprise.
So you mentioned that what we have seen in Iran recently was carried out by someone who has nation-state abilities. My question is that when this happens, aren't you showing your cards to your enemies?
Aside from the actual attack, which is a tactical issue, there's also strategic thinking or planning. What tools should you use? In what way? Because it's clear that immediately after the attack, the other side will launch an investigation and will try to identify the tools used by the attacker. They will seal the cracks, defensive measures across all the similar platforms. Second, yes, you are revealing some of your capabilities, and for that reason, I think that whoever was behind this attack had to be a nation-state with considerable wealth and technology and cyber know-how. Tech and cyber are constantly evolving, even now as we speak. You need to always stay ahead, and those who can do that are only actors who have a combination of developed cyber or technological ecosystem and the human depth to pull it off.
Let's break it down for a second. Israel was attacked first. There was an attack on water infrastructure that was supposed to be protected. Can you tell me, was any damage there?
According to the information I have, there was no real damage. What we do have here is a large red warning sign that says, let's check ourselves, without getting into details of this specific incident, which I really don't know. I can say that, one, we need to investigate and check our defense systems connected to critical infrastructure, and two, what we say about the attacker, their behavior, how did they get in, how long were they inside our system, undetected. This is an ongoing process. It never ends and the pace is very quick. It's not a physical action that takes time to execute. Here we're dealing with bits, milliseconds. It takes great minds and the best technology technology to stay ahead of the
וזה דורש
game.
כל הזמן מוחות וטכנולוגיה משובחת כדי להיות בקדמה של אותם מערכות.
נדמה לי שאני לא טועה אם אני...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I say that Israel, being a country that is very advanced technologically, is also quite vulnerable to cyber attacks because of that same technology.
מאוד הזדמנויות.
נכון, ולכן התוקף ראשית ידאג להגנה.
That's correct, and that's why the attacker will first take care of protection.
אבל לפני אמצעי לחימה,
To attack, you need weapons, but you need to make sure your rear, your critical infrastructure, is protected on the highest level.
לקיומה ולתפקודה של המדינה נמצאים ברמת מיגון סייבר גבוהים, או רמה גבוהה. מבלי שיש לך רמה גבוהה של הגנה...
If you don't have that, it wouldn't be smart on your side to engage in offensive operation, because the backlash can be devastating.
משום שהדבר הזה יכול לגרום גם נזקים לתשתיות שאתה רוצה לשמור עליהן, בוודאי לקיום השוטף של כל מדינה.
So the state or the National Cyber Directorate is responsible for protecting its critical infrastructure. I'm talking about us, the civilians. Even this, our phone, is critical for our lives.
זה נכון, אבל צריך להפריד, כי לא הכל הוא קריטי.
Yes, that's true, but you need to make a distinction because not everything is considered critical. For example, the municipal infrastructure is not protected. Wealthier cities protect their IT systems, but lower-income places will first attend to the other burning issues, such as roads or sewer systems.
ראשית, יתקנו כבישים, יטפלו ברווחה וכדומה. כך שיש הרבה מאוד אזורים במדינת ישראל שהם אינם...
There's much left unprotected here in Israel, and I think that those bodies of government created for this very purpose are able to answer some of the needs.
שמדינת ישראל הקימה, אמורים לספק חלק מהתשובות. אבל אני חושב שהדבר החשוב הוא בהתנהגות האישית.
But what is important here is personal behavior and responsibility. In the end of the day, the best way to defend it is by simply changing your password. It's not using portable storage devices on your computers or storing your data on the cloud and not on physical hard drives.
זה זהירות בכל הפעולות שאתה עושה בשמירה על חלק מהמידע שלך. אתה לא שומר יותר בתוך המחשב, אלא רק בענן. אלה פעולות בסיסיות.
So what you are saying is that the best spies are not the ones sent by the enemy, it's you and I, because we are not cautious enough.
The best spy is probably your mobile phone. One of the best I know, and thank God for them. But in this and other cases, what makes the difference is responsible behavior and awareness. That will take care of most threats in most organizations, be it a supermarket or a government office. A place that's well protected in most cases will make an attacker turn somewhere else.
המינימום הזה יגרום לכך שתוקף, שזה שיש באמת קושי לחדור לאותו מנגנון, ייגש ויחפש את הפרצה במקום אחר.
Let's go back to Iran. With your permission, I assume that whoever carried out this attack wasn't going for damage, but rather for deterrence. How do we know if it was accomplished?
בסייבר יש יכולת לבצע איסוף מודיעיני.
In cyber warfare, we have the ability to gather intelligence. We have the defensive and offensive actions that we spoke of, but there's one more thing, and that is cyber awareness.
זה ההשפעה בסייבר. כיצד אתה ממנף?
How do you leverage an attack to work in your advantage? You need to make others aware, and you do that with massive information spread via news or social media with one goal.
ואיך אתה בעצם מייצר תודעה ופרסום רחב מאוד, גם ברשתות החברתיות.
Believe me when I say that the countries capable of actions of this sort also have information about the deterrence factor. You gather intelligence. We have a very developed intelligence sector, and parts of that are attempting to find out whether an attack is successful in deterring or not.
לכל מדינה שתוקפת יש מספיק סנסורים להבין האם ההרתעה לסוגיה השונים אכן הושגה. ואתה אוסף מודיעין, בשביל יש גם לישראל יש יכולות מודיעין מאוד מאוד טובות, וחלק מזה זה באמת לראות האם הצד השני הבין ויפיק לקחים לגבי ההתנהגות שלו העתידית, בוודאי בהתקפות סייבר.
Could it be that because this was a very public clash with the story in the Washington Post, could this be the first cyber war between Israel and Iran that takes place above the surface?
אני חושב שהמלחמה גלויה בסייבר איננה משרתת לא את התוקף ולא את המגן.
I think an all-out cyber war is bad for both attackers and defenders. When fought in the shadows, a cyber war is very efficient, and the more publicity it gets, the harder it gets for everyone involved.
ולשים אותה בכותרות באופן נרחב ולדבר על מה אפשר לעשות במרחב הזה, כל הצדדים בשלב הזה לפחות מפסידים, ואני חושב...
I think it'll be wise, especially for those with aspirations of becoming a cyber powerhouse, to keep a low profile, at least about the tools they have, in order to be successful when action is needed.
כדי שביום פקודה, כשנצטרך אותם, או מי שיצטרך אותם, ידע ללחוץ על הכפתורים הנכונים, שגם יעבדו.
You use the term cyber powerhouse, but we are seeing that even the poor can use those methods. Hamas, for example, a relatively small terror group, is using Cyberattack tools. It really doesn't take that much.
איפשהו כמה גאונים, ואתה יכול להיות תוקף בסייבר, שזה אירוע מאוד מורכב.
הוא יכול להיות תוקף, וחמאס דרך אגב יש לו יכולות סייבר שהן משתפרות, אבל הפגיעה היא בעיקר...
They can attack, and Hamas is improving on their cyber capabilities, but the damage is mostly psychological. They're able to hack some instant messaging apps or maybe take over a TV broadcast, like I said, nothing serious. Big players like the US, Russia, China, and yes, I include Israel in this list as well, are on a whole other level.
מעצמה כמו ארצות הברית וסין ורוסיה.
And it doesn't really have to do with the size of the country, it has to do with the people behind it.
וזה איננו סוד. אנחנו מדברים פה על משהו שהוא נמצא ברמה שונה לגמרי.
We have generations of brilliant minds that are being shaped in our melting pot, which is the intelligence core in the 8200 unit at the top. As long as we have that, Israel will keep its advantage.
הדור הזה של הצעירים, בעיקר חבר'ה צעירים, שמשרתים, ואצלנו יש כור היתוך, שנקרא אגף המודיעין, ובתוך אגף המודיעין יש לנו את היכולות הטכנולוגיות, 8200 המפורסמת, זה כור ההיתוך שלנו. ככל שיהיו שם יותר מוחות, ישראל תמשיך להיות ותחזק את עצמה כמעצמה.
How would you rank our opponents in this theater? Iran, for example, that is making an effort and not for the first time.
אני חושב שבאיראן, וגם במדינות אחרות, אסור לזלזל, וצריך לראות בה
I think we cannot underestimate the Iranians or other threats in the region. Iran has to be seen as a developing country that learns from mistakes. Even if in the near future their abilities will not be substantial, signs are showing that they are improving. There is constant learning and improvement. They are very smart people there. And in general, it's my opinion, you should always respect your opponent.
אז עוד שאלה אחת, אריק.
Is that the direction? Wars in the future will be cyber wars and might push aside the traditional kinetic warfare?
No, I think we will see a mixture of capabilities, both virtual and physical, for the simple reason that you have to use both. The effect on the civilian population is the focus of modern warfare, not the military. When you apply pressure on civilians, it means great things, even the ability to win the war.
וכשאתה מפעיל עוצמות סייבר בצד אחד על אוכלוסייה, משבית שירותים, מצד שני מפעיל יכולות קינטיות, טילאות וכדומה, זה מביא לאפקטים מאוד מאוד משמעותיים עד להשבתה של מדינה לתקופה כזו או אחרת ולניצחון של הצד השני.
Arik Barbing, thank you very much for joining me.
תודה רבה, להתראות.